comes first with the First Alert Radar Network. First just got faster. From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, First at 5.
South Carolina's top financial watchdog has quit. Next, live at 5, we have more on the case on the $3 billion accounting error.
Plus, parents in Aiken, your child's class scheduling is changing. Aiken County Public Schools is announcing new block scheduling for students.
The district says the change will allow your child to earn more credits per year, and it improves mental health. News 12's Taylor Martin explains what this means for your child and their education. Taylor.
Your student may be used to typical 50-minute class periods, but all of that is about to change with Aiken County's new 4x4 block scheduling for the 2023-2024 school year. They'll now take 4 classes in the fall and 4 classes in the spring, all with 90-minute class periods. It's a shift from traditional 7-period day schedules and an extra 40 minutes added onto each class. The Aiken County Public School District says the change will allow students to take an additional elective each year and earn 32 credits over 4 years instead of 28. Well received by some and disliked by others, parents hope the change won't be too much for their kids.
Kind of a lot of transition all at one time. And for my kids, they will have been 2 years doing one thing and then ending 2 years. So they kind of had expectations as far as what their 11th and 12th grade years would look like, and that is now changing because of all of these changes.
All new on News 12 at 6 o'clock, I'll be talking more about the pros and cons of block scheduling and what the next school year could look like for your kids.
All right, thanks for that update there, Taylor. Tossing to weather now. We're going to check with First Alert.
In the last 30 minutes, we learned civil rights attorney Ben Crump is giving an update on the death investigation for Shanquella Robinson.
The Charlotte native died mysteriously while on vacation in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Crump and the Robinson family were in Washington, D.C. just a few weeks ago, hoping this story would get in front of President Biden. Now, these are live pictures from Livingston College. Let's go ahead and listen in here.
Washington to Mexico, asking authorities to make sure that they do the right thing. March the 3rd, Attorney Crump and Tamika Mallory, John Barnett, a bunch of us traveled to Washington with the Robinson family. We were in Washington making some noise and asking for justice for Shanquella. We was in me and Miss Robinson were in New York the week after that. Same thing, same message, justice for Shanquella Robinson. That's all we're asking for. President Biden, I said the wrong name in D.C., but President Biden, Vice President Harris, do the right thing and let these messages from all these people get to Washington. No justice, no peace, arrest the Cabo 6. Say it with me, no justice, no peace, arrest the Cabo 6. All right.
Thank you so much, Maria. And now we're going to hear first from her sister, Quilla, who has been, really pushing this. And you can only imagine if that was your blood, how you would feel. So she's not a lawyer or a commentator. She's going to speak from the heart about her sister. And this is very hard for her and her mother.
Yes.
Okay. My mama did an interview about a week ago, well, a couple of days ago, and the person in the interview asked her, what would happen if she don't get justice? And I wanted to step in and say, well, in that case, then I need to change my occupation because we got the wrong people in the wrong places, the wrong jobs.
Amen.
There's no way that it should be 5 months with a video in place and all kind of other information about the individual that was on the trip with my sister. At this point, everybody in that room should be held accountable. At least one person should have been brought in for questioning.
Absolutely.
I don't understand it. We've been questioning it since October the 29th of her death. We've been questioning it and trying to figure out why is it taking so long, what is going on. It gets to the point where we have to question our government. And that's sad. And then it gets to the point where we have to stand up here and do press conference. There's certain stuff that we shouldn't have to do when it's too much information is out there.
My Lord. And let me say this, she's absolutely right. This is something that's easy. You have a video. That's clear. I mean, ocular proof.
Just to give you a little bit of information, a backstory here, her travel mates allegedly insisted she died of alcohol poisoning, but an autopsy conducted by Mexican authorities showed that her death was caused by violence. So her family and her family's attorney are calling on President Biden and others in Washington, D.C. just to have two things happen. They want the U.S. to either extradite the killer to Mexico or have the U.S. take jurisdiction of the case so that the case can be prosecuted. But again, this is a family pleading for justice in the death of a woman whose autopsy showed died at the hands of violence in Mexico.
Absolutely, and we will continue to follow that case as it progresses and moves forward.
The mother, accused of killing her 20-month-old son and throwing his body in a dumpster, is back in court today.
Leilani Simon is facing 19 total indictments in the death of her son. The Superior Court judge over the case told attorneys she feels Leilani Simon is not only a flight risk, she's also at risk of committing a felony if she's released. While she's been denied bond before in other courts, this is our first time seeing Leilani in person since she has been arrested in November. While debating if Simon should be granted bond, her attorney Caitlin Walker notified the Department of Family and Child Services to keep an eye on Simon. Defense did not go into detail about how that works, but did say if she abided by the plan, she may be reunited with her other two children. Well, South Carolina's top accountant is resigning after lawmakers have been calling for him to step down for weeks. It follows a state Senate investigation into a multi-billion-dollar accounting error the Comptroller General's office made over a 10-year period. Our State House reporter Mary Green has the details into Richard Ekstrom's resignation and what comes next.
Comptroller General Richard Ekstrom informed Governor Henry McMaster on Thursday morning that he's stepping down at the end of next month. It comes as senators were preparing to start the process of removing Ekstrom from office, with the trial portion of that process scheduled in the next 3 weeks.
I have a high degree of confidence that the votes were there to do so. I have a high degree of confidence that the votes were there in the House to do so.
But it didn't get to that point, with Comptroller General Richard Ekstrom sending this letter to Governor Henry McMaster Thursday morning, announcing he's resigning from his elected position. Ekstrom wrote that during his time in office, he's endeavored to be a strong defender of the taxpayer and a good steward of their hard-earned tax dollars. McMaster accepted his resignation, and writing Ekstrom's 24 years of dedicated and honorable service in the constitutional offices of Treasurer and Comptroller General have been widely recognized, and his contributions too numerous to list. But lawmakers say a mistake Ekstrom's office had been making for the last decade was too costly for him to keep his job. Ekstrom previously testified to senators that his office had been double counting money in the state's official accounting document, leading South Carolina's reported cash balance to be off by $3.5 billion. This did not affect the state budget, which uses a separate set of numbers. A Senate panel investigating the mistake recommended last week that Ekstrom be removed from office.
The buck stopped with him. The accountability was with him. His staff was directed to do what they did by him. So I don't believe it needs to go any further than Comptroller General Richard Ekstrom.
His resignation means the entire General Assembly will have to elect his successor in a joint session, when nominations will be made on the floor, and someone will need to get a majority of the 170-member legislature to get the job. That Senate panel also recommended making the Comptroller General a position appointed by the governor instead of one that's elected, as it currently is. Senator Groom says they still want that to happen, and in his resignation letter, Ekstrom says he supports that change. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Parents, stick around. If you're looking for childcare or camps even for spring break, we have some answers that could be a good fit after the break, and some might even save you some cash. Riley?
Well, temperatures tomorrow afternoon should be the warmest so far for 2023, but unfortunately we are bringing back some rain for the weekend. We'll have that full forecast just after the break.
7 Evans middle schoolers arrested yesterday for possessing illegal substances. What the school district wants you to know, coming up all new on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Over the last several months, California has been battered by weekly rounds of heavy rainfall, known as an atmospheric river. Then yesterday, the Los Angeles area was hit with a rare EF1 tornado, taking the life of one person.
Our first alert meteorologist, Anthony Carpino, is live with us in the studio to explain what's been happening out west. Anthony?
Yeah, guys, so those atmospheric rivers have been really just moving ashore over the last several months, and that's affected a lot of the water levels in the state. On the left here is a graph from back in September showing all of the major lakes and reservoirs. You notice a lot of them are very empty. Then we jump to March, and a lot of those have actually reached capacity. So that's some good news for California. They definitely need the rainfall, but a lot in one sitting can be not so good. Here's a live look at the past water vapor trail over the last couple of days. Notice this trail right here, this white and blue. That's all of that moisture moving ashore. The red, that's some drier air, but it's those thin little bands that actually become that atmospheric river and deliver all of that rainfall to coastal areas of the state, and actually moves inland and gives them a little bit more in the way of that heavy rainfall and the snowfall. So this is how it looks as it moves ashore. It's a thin area of rain that ends up getting lots of flooding to the mountains, and then even some snowfall in higher elevations. So a major weather factor out west.
All right, thanks for that, Anthony. Certainly a lot of crazy weather. I actually saw a video on the internet of San Francisco earlier this week. There were high-rise apartments. An entire couch on the patio got picked up by the winds and thrown, and it was swirling around down to the street. So very dangerous. The winds out there are crazy.
Can you imagine being on the street and looking up and there's like a couch coming?
It almost hit someone. It was about 5 feet away. It was pretty crazy. I showed Riley that yesterday, and he was talking about the strong winds out there out west.
Yeah, it was a really intense system, and it brought a tornado to just outside of Los Angeles yesterday as well. So very intense system, and a fairly rare system at that. Southern California is not used to seeing tornadoes whatsoever, so a rare weather day for them. Luckily, we're on the good side next week as well, most likely down to the 60s again by next Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Riley. The first full week of April is usually spring break time. If you can't take vacation because of work, finding some type of childcare, it can be kind of tough.
Yeah, but I mean, both of us, we can't take vacation because of work.
We're here all the time.
Right, you don't need childcare, but we know a lot of parents do. Our Hallie Turner did some digging and found plenty of options.
Neither my husband and I are originally from here. We don't have, grandparents around the corner that we can just call. We rely really heavily on our daycare.
But when the school bell rings for spring break and parents like Haley Etzel can't get off work, stress sets in.
I'm always battling mom guilt. I love my career and I love what I do, and at the same time I want to be sure my kids have a happy, healthy environment, that they feel loved, they're learning and developing while I'm working to provide for them.
A mother of 2, she and her husband both own businesses, and spring break slams right into her busiest time of the year.
Going into Masters and spring break, I have a lot of clients that I consult for in the wine business. I work nights at T-Bones doing wine service. I have a vodka company I do tastings and promotions for. My husband runs one of the busiest liquor stores in town. I really am not sure what we're going to do.
Brandy Mitchell realized in 2017 the resources were here. Moms just needed a way to access them better.
So much that the CSRA offers that people don't even realize. There are a lot of free activities for families to enjoy. Their local libraries, businesses, they offer princess opportunities.
From the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, to the Croc Center, there are options with a variety of price points.
You can easily find out where these camps are, the cost, and the deadline right here on your laptop when you go to wrdw.com. Because these moms say the time to register is now.
Such a demand for this kind of thing. Most people even just looking for regular daycare now, the wait list is usually a year long. If I don't start planning now, it's going to be very stressful.
Brandy says don't let the cost turn you away, because there are scholarships.
So there are different things that, families can do to save some money.
News 12 voted best weather coverage by the Georgia Association of Broadcasters.
Your home.